Welcome to another episode of Monica Mentors. I am your host, author Monica Martin Fletcher. I know that you guys know me by now, but you may have invited some guests. This is just like home for me, and so I want it to be home for you and your guest as well. Today we're going to talk about, I think I'm going to get a couple little dings about this episode. So we're going to talk about seeing through the mirror. And I was going to roll my neck and do all this stuff, but I'm in my 50s now, so I got to play nice. But my subtitle for this show today is It Is Not All About You. So we're going to talk about seeing through the mirror. We're in a world right now where self-focus can sometimes overshadow kindness. Teaching kids about empathy is more important than ever. This podcast is going to dive into what we call narcissistic traits that can develop when children are encouraged to understand the feelings of others, and why empathy is the key to be successful in building strong, respectful relationships. So we're going to have some fun stories. We're going to talk about some real life examples. I promise I won't say any names. And then we're going to even talk about some simple lessons to help us understand how to foster compassion and prevent unnecessary selfish behavior from taking root and helping our kids to see beyond their own mirror reflection. So listen, y'all, before we got started, I was on my phone and I was looking up some quotes, and this was really interesting. It says, "Yes, I am rude because I don't want to get hurt again and again and again." Another one said, "I'm not rude. I'm just honest. I just speak what's on my mind, even if most of you can't handle the truth." And then another one says, "It only hurts up to a certain point. Then it doesn't get any worse because I don't pay you any attention anyway." So let's start with this. I used a word that I haven't had an opportunity to use on the show before, but I continue to hear this word thrown around in this particular political climate that we're in right now. And it's the word again, narcissism. So let's talk about, what does the dictionary say about the term? So it says narcissism is when someone thinks only solely about themselves, their needs, what they want, their desires. It's going to be the way that it's going to be. And they do not care how it makes anyone else feel. They might always want to be the center of attention. Like, let's say if you say, when I was a little boy or a little girl, I had this happen to me. They're going to immediately come in and say, "Well, let me tell you what happened to me," without giving any regard to what you said, because guess what? You're not the face of their attention. They are. And so a lot of times they will even try to act better than everyone else. They'll try to pretend like they're the smartest one in the room, but of course with a bit of sarcasm. They will try to act like they're the only one that knows the truth and nothing but the truth. And they will not listen to people, even if they pick up a sadness or a hurt or a need for help. Because after all, with the narcissist, it is truly all about them. Now, it's important to care about others, not just yourself. When people forget to listen or share, that makes friendships and relationships hard. But I've often heard people say, "Listen, what is this word y'all are throwing around, narcissistic?" I'm not narcissistic. I'm just confident in myself. And so here's a simple way that I found to kind of break down the difference between those two words. So I'm going to call this one the superhero versus the show off. And in my example, imagine your favorite superhero. Mine most times is Wonder Woman, because that hammer can fight. I just like Wonder Woman. Okay, so imagine a superhero who is brave and kind. They help others, and they even pull people together to work as a team, even though they can solely do it by themselves. Now imagine this other hero who comes on the scene and they're always reminding you they are the best. Remember what they did. Remember all the villains that they took out. Remember all of the people they saved. Remember, how they used their own special power and it worked and it took care of everything. No need to bring anybody else in. But they never listen. And they take all the credit, even if there was someone else standing on the side that was there to help. Which one do you think is potentially a better friend? Now, I know, listen, if you're a narcissist, you don't need friends. You could care less, okay? What? No. Yes, you do. You need friends to help hear your story. You need friends so that you can tell them how great of a person that you are. So you do need people in your space. But think about that. Why do you have to take all the credit? And what if you get in a relationship by accident, intentionally, with someone who you genuinely want to be friends with, but that particular behavior keeps them at a distance? So let's talk about that, y'all. Is it okay? Is it not okay to be proud of who you are and what you do? That sounds like confidence to me. But where it teeter-totters into possibly showing some narcissistic behavior is when you're proud of what you do, but it's less important to you to be proud of what others do. After all, you've gotten the glory, and so you could care less whether they do something good or not. Because after all, it has officially become all about you. Think about some friends that you've had. Do they brag a lot? Do they include you in the conversations? Have you been in a space where you have potentially carried that narcissistic behavior before? I know I have. In my lifetime, I didn't really think about it at the time, but there have been some times where I forgot to acknowledge my friends when they did something really good, especially in a space when I felt like I was in a place where I was doing something great. I may have forgot that parent or my sibling or someone. I said, girl, pray for me because I got this big test coming up, or I got to do this big project at work. Girl, keep me in your prayers. Think about me. And then when I am extremely successful at what I did I forget to acknowledge those people that I asked to keep me in their prayers, that I asked to keep me going, the one who let me call them when I was about to fall asleep, but I had to finish that project? Did I totally disregard all of my support and made it all about me? So, why is it important to even listen to others? We're going to call this example the echo game. So, parents, you can play a game with your kids and you can pretend that they are talking to someone who says, me, 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 me. Every time they try to talk, ask them, how does that feel when you say me, me, me? Would you want to keep talking to someone who never listens? I don't. I'm still working on that. I will shut a talker down in a heartbeat, especially if it is a me, me, me conversation. Now, Switch it around. Have your kids do that to you. Start the conversation. Well, when I did with this, look at me. Look at me. Just switch it around a little bit so you guys can see both sides of that coin. And then you got to sit there and don't respond. Don't say anything kind. Don't listen. Just let them do what they do best. It's the me factor. The me factor is what drives narcissism. I don't have to care about you. I don't have to like you. You're not important. Listen, I don't care. How does this equate to me? There's a scripture in the Bible. I was trying to find it before we got started. And it says pride always comes before the fall. A lot of people don't believe that, especially narcissists, because you are so in tune to you. It's not in your mind. It's not pride, so to speak, where you're going to have a fall. You're just in a space where you feel like people don't understand because you're proud of what you do. You are proud of who you are, and it don't matter who like it, don't care. You can go on about your business. But then when you have people who don't want to be around you, and you might not want it because remember, you're the me for me society. But everybody needs somebody. At least once in a blue moon. And then you start to see less and less people inviting you out. You start to see when you go out, let's say like if you're in a relationship, this could be friend to friend, husband to wife, parent to child. You go out and just pay attention. The person who is putting narcissistic conversations in place, let me tell you what's going to happen. You're not going, because you're going to be so into you. Remember, it's all about you. So they're going to be looking at their phone. They're going to be writing notes. They're going to be looking around the room. They're going to be trying to see who all in there. They're going to be studying their food. They're going to be doing everything except paying you attention. But guess what? You're so in your zone and in your mirror that you don't even realize that you are pushing people away from you, even right in front of your face. So, kindness helps everyone. It's not hard to be kind. I didn't say liked. I ain't saying you got to become their best friend, but it's okay to be kind. And so parents, to help potentially avoid narcissism, let's try what I call the domino effect. So listen to this story. One day, Max forgot his lunch at school. And his friend Ava actually got up and shared her sandwich. Max felt happy. And later on, Max helped his little brother with his homework. Perhaps Max thought about the fact that Ava, when he was hungry, shared a kind act with him in school. And so maybe he decided to spread the kindness. Think about that. Can you think of a time when kindness made someone else's day better? That's another thing. Do you want to be the only one that has a good day? I mean, you might. Listen, again, don't forget on Monica Mentors, we strictly just give you some of those, I didn't think about it that way type moments. Never thought about it. I'm not saying you're going to change, but I am going to say it's time to bring the behavior to your attention. Because when you think that you're this ideal person, and you lying to yourself saying, I don't need nobody, I don't want nobody around me, what's the reason you do it? What's really behind that? Because I bet you 9 times out of 10, somebody did that to you. And so that became your coping mechanism to protect yourself. You remember one of the quotes I said, I only chose that behavior because that protected me from being hurt. Did you guys know just a small act of kindness can make a difference to that man that you see in the mirror? Did you know that it's okay to be happy? Now, I'm not saying cheesy, or I am not a fan of those on social media who tend to pretend like they have no problems. That's not me. Just before I came to the show and I was recording today, I was upset about something, but it didn't benefit me to keep holding on to it. Somebody at work made me mad a couple days ago. Who cares? I let it go. You see, you have to get to a space when as you grow and as you grow in wisdom, oh, this going to make some of y'all mad. Sometimes you got to think about you're not always a good person to other people. And so what gives you the right to become a butthole because you hurt other people and then you say, I don't care about it? Then you just did the same thing that potentially you're accusing other people of doing it to you. I have a person, true story. True story. Promise. Not going to say any names. True story. I have a person right now that I know. And I say to them all the time, you have such great wisdom. But people do not listen to you because you present it in a way like you are the only expert in the room. You say it in a way like, duh, you should get this. But your life jacked up. You have all this information through books. You look at all this. You read this. You probe this. You take on this stance of the world. And yet your life is jacked up. Who would listen to you? Now that's someone, that's what I call a scary narcissist. You are so enveloped in yourself that you don't even see that you're not even living what you're proposing to other people. Man, that's heavy. So y'all, we got to start identifying and spotting what I like to call selfish behavior versus having healthy boundaries. Because y'all, there is a difference. There are some people that you guys call narcissists, but they just have healthy boundaries. They've been through a lot, but they've been burned a lot. And so they simply made a choice, been down there, been there, done that, not going to do it again. That's a healthy boundary. Always being good to people, unfortunately, potentially were good to the wrong people. And so when the good people came along, it's kind of like they didn't want to chance that again. So then they just established having healthy boundaries with people who are good and people who are not so good. That's okay. And so that's just like if your child has this cool toy, like back in the day when I was growing up, y'all know my age. I don't have to worry about that. But the thing back then was like the Cabbage Patch Kids. Them was some funny little dolls, but every little girl wanted one. And so that was called like our little cool little toy at the time. And what do you think if a good friend, especially, some of y'all still had them in boxes and y'all dressed them up. But what if you had a friend come over and was like, that's mine. I want that. And then you just snatched the doll. Wait a minute, that is my doll. I didn't tell you could play with this. We can take turns, but you ain't finna just take my doll. That's an example of that's healthy. Because listen, the friend don't know if, you let some other friends play with it and they messed up, because them Cabbage Patch dolls used to be real kind of dicey trying to get them back in the day. But what that did was that gave me an opportunity to say, okay, yes, this is mine, but can we take turns playing with it? You can take that as an act of fairness. Now, you can't call that's not considered narcissistic, because yes, it is mine. Yes, we can take turns playing with it. I didn't tell you shut it down. You can't have nothing to do with my stuff, okay? So we need to understand that there is truly a difference. And it's important to help your kids recognize when they're being selfish or when they're simply standing up for themselves. You can use an example like I gave in there. You can take turns. Hey, this is mine, but you can take turns with it. Or you can say something like, listen, let's play with a different toy today, especially if you know that's one that's really important to your child and other friends may have done something to it. You can say, well, let's play with something else. Let's play a video game, or let's play cards, or let's go outside. Y'all don't go outside anymore. But that's what we would say when I was growing up. And so probably the biggest, most important thing that establishes someone who has healthy boundaries versus unhealthy boundaries when it comes to protecting self is when they look in the mirror. Can you honestly say, how would I feel if someone does this to me? How would this feel if I do this to someone else? If you're always looking in the mirror and you're only seeing the I factor, then I want to challenge you. You may be entering into an unhealthy zone when it comes to boundaries. And so you need to take the time, parents, to encourage your children how their actions make them feel and how their actions make others feel. I couldn't relate to this when I was a child because me and my sister, I was the oldest. So, in my mind, she didn't have feelings. It was just I beat her up and we fight and we be done with it. But me and my sister didn't fight for real. Well, in words, but not physical fight. But that's just something that siblings do when they're younger. But now at this age, I do care about how my sister feel. I care if someone mistreats her. I care about, actions and things that come into her space that may not make her feel her best self. How would you feel if someone never listened to your feelings? This is big, mom and dad, because let's just say if you guys are having a disagreement and your child is in the other room and you have one person, let's say, mom, all you want to do is always tell dad how you feel, but you don't want to hear how dad feels. And you got your child in the back room hearing this. They taking this all in. And so sometimes you put your kids in a situation where if you don't sit them down and discuss it with it, you're helping them to create a mirror that says, do I always want to be the person that's telling how I'm feeling? Or do I want to tell them and listen and tell? Because it's always going to be more than one side to the coin. I could be wrong. Put in the comments and let me know. I'm not aware of any coins that are one-sided. I'm not aware of any, monetary bills, ones, fives, 10. There's something on both sides of those bills. And so when you are born into a society where other people live, then perhaps God's intentionality was not for you not to consider other people's feelings. Even in the book of Genesis, when it was just Adam, God said, it is not good for you to be alone. Don't get mad at the other person because all you see is you in the mirror. You might want to take that to God. That same Bible also says it is not good for man to be alone. And most people who carry that unhealthy behavior, they are firm in their belief that it's okay. Let me alone. But can you imagine what it would feel like if everybody took that attitude? What if your kids took that attitude? What if your parents took that attitude? Just leave me alone. Because a lot of times what happens is people typically only want to be left alone now, again, let me slow myself down. If you're having a healthy boundary conversation with yourself, then yes, go alone. But what you got to do is you got to look at both. Remember I said both sides of the coin? There's two sides. When I was growing up, you said there's two sides to every story. So if you only want to look at it at one side, then you're not seeking or desiring to be healthy. But if you want to look at both sides of it, then there's a potential you're just creating healthier spaces for yourself. But again, remember my examples: me, I, all of mine. You probably a narcissist. We're having real conversation, y'all. Listen, in this society, I am too old to be beating around the bush. I am too old to play games. We have too much in our world going on nowadays for us to keep teeter-tottering around conversations. I've often heard them say, when you go to the different rehab centers, the first thing you have to do is acknowledge you have a problem. Acknowledge that you have this issue. And once you acknowledge it, then you get to put yourself in the headspace to see if you want to deal with it and stay exactly like that. You remember Adam said when they messed up in the garden, what did Adam say? You gave me this woman. I'm not calling Adam that particular behavior, but what I'm saying is you're not alone. That's not the first time somebody has said, I, me, mine. But you have to make a choice, because what's happening is we're becoming such a bitter community to each other. I never thought I would see the day where there was so much malice and unforgiveness and disregard in our community. I'm talking about our community. I'm not talking about outside. I'm talking about our community. And I've never seen us become so in tune to not giving respect and giving love and giving grace to each other. But every day I wake up, I'm hearing somebody telling me, this is mine. You don't have anything to do with this. I hear it in every single space that I'm in, and that concerns me. Because y'all know I'm always concerned about the generation. Every round goes higher and higher. Every generation goes higher or lower. And now that we're in a climate where it seems like it's all about self, I don't know if we're going to be able to turn that thing around, y'all. The Bible reminds us in Philippians 2:3-4. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, do those things in humility. Value others above yourself. Don't look only for your own interests, but look for the interest in and for others. Y'all, can we agree that it's time to strive to teach and model empathy so our children, their hearts they'll grow up to care, and they'll grow up to listen and love like they should. Because when we look beyond the mirror and see others, we need to see, and we should be reflecting the very kindness that's going to hopefully make this world a better space. Thank you for joining me on this special episode of Monica Mentors. Until next time, I am going to encourage you, stay kind, stay curious, and remember, it is not all about you.